Thank you very much for your time, my brother. How are you feeling today?
Now I'm good, excited, enjoying the first game. It was end-to-end action, but I think it was a good representation of the tournament so far.
Dayle, you've been here throughout the tournament. You've been doing performance analysis. I just want to understand what elements of performance analysis you've been looking at and what outcomes from the data you found with regards to the performance in this tournament.
Cool. So if you remember in the meeting we had at SAF, I spoke a lot about the goals being conceded and scored straight after halftime. Where in this tournament, a lot of the goals have been scored towards the end of the game, and it's actually affected 2 or 3 of the games, even the semi-final now, where the last goal you saw got scored after the 90th minute, and in 2 of the games earlier in the tournament, 2 of the goals actually determined the outcome where it was conceded late in the game, and that's obviously something that needs to be addressed. Maybe in their local leagues, and then obviously coming into the performance of the playoffs in preparation. But just to go back to the beginning of your question, a lot of it started just at the beginning with biographical information, where we looked at the players' heights, weights, where they came from. I spoke about it at SAFA as well, where there's a book called The Goldmine Effect. It speaks a lot about where talent comes from. So in Russia you can look at the tennis players, at South Korea look at the golfers. In Brazil we speak about footballers. So in South Africa we're also trying to find out where these gems are coming from. So maybe that's an area we then need to go and visit a bit more. At the end of the tournament I'll give clarity on where a lot of these footballers come from, because you'll find Soweto boys playing in different provinces, which is interesting. Cape Town boys playing represented in different provinces. Players from Mpumalanga also being represented across 3 or 4 teams in the tournament, which is interesting. So these boys are traveling far to go and use their talents, and then actually making it and not really making it in their own province. So that again raises questions as to why are they not staying, or what caused them to move to another province and be able to actually use their talents to make it onto this platform. And then to take it further, we do a lot of the goal studies. A lot of the videos, again, we spoke about it last tournament where 9 goals were scored from build-up, and this season's 10 so far, which again is interesting. There were 3 penalties, if I remember correctly, 4 goals scored from corners as well, 1 from free kick, and then transitions was also something that was quite high. I think it was 5 or 6 goals. So when we look at that, again, it's a question of, do these coaches look at the footage to be able to see where the areas of weakness is? And one of the biggest things I would like to put out there is just awareness inside the penalty area. As much as the goals are being scored, and that's a positive, it's 22 goals, 23 goals as of today. A lot of the errors you see in the box is just poor marking or not really good positioning. So again, just speaks to awareness inside the boxes. When the ball is going wide, let's get into good areas, let's get into good positions to make sure that we're defending the right players coming in. Because a lot of it is just guys that are unmarked in the penalty area. So if we can try and just have players, I want to say a little bit more prepared, but just again keep a concentration, keep being a little bit more vocal, coaches being vocal, to be able to make sure that these players are constantly aware inside the box and not focusing on the ball, but looking for attackers coming into the box. Because even yesterday 3 of the goals that were scored just from late runs into the box, and people weren't really being picked up. So again, awareness. And Summerfield's a good example of that. If you look at the corner they conceded at the beginning of the tournament in the 92nd minute, I think it was. And then yesterday again conceding 2 goals just from balls being played into the box and the defenders not really being prepared or aware of where the runs are coming from. So those are things that I think are critical in preparation, and not only for the players but also when they go back to their provinces and actually play in their local leagues. We need to be a little bit more aware, because if players are a lot more aware inside the penalty area, it takes away a lot of the goals that were conceded. But credit to the strikers and to the attackers that scored the goals. Also very good movement to get inside and be on the blind side of these defenders.
In terms of many people have complained in this tournament that the loading of the players. For example, NW are playing their 3rd game in 3 days today. Does the data show anything in terms of that? Does it show any impact, positive or negative?
I think just off the cuff, we've seen a lot of players pull up during the end of these games, and it is something that's concerning, and we spoke about it. But if you do look at it, the players who played in the same format over the past few years, And I guess it is unfortunate in a draw if you're drawn as the first team, because you play. I know Summerfield played on the first day and played on the third day, and then unfortunately they were knocked out. But it's the luck. It's one of those things where it's the luck of the draw. If you're drawn first, you get to play a break and play again, and hopefully you do make it through to the next round. If you're drawn maybe towards the end, then you have to play 2 games consecutively in the group stages and then still attend the semi-final. I guess it is challenging. Motsepe, the coach, also spoke from Zizwe. He mentioned, I saw on Twitter, he highlighted quite a bit just the amount of recovery time that these guys have, and it is a challenge. In his previous interview when they won it, he spoke about just selecting the right players and preparing your boys correctly. I mean, we know that the players who played or completed maybe a month or 2 ago. And then it does speak to preparation, squad depth. There's a lot of things that you can look in. Unfortunately, we don't have physical data of the actual players. Maybe it's something we can look at going forward in the next couple of years, because it is an expensive tool to actually bring in fitness data. But from the naked eye, we can see that the players are pulling up, and it's something I don't know if you can actually prepare for it, because once you step on the field, your body just tells you to do a lot of things because of the opportunity that you have. So you might take your body to the next level, where when you're playing in your local province, you might not push yourself as much because you know you've got 3-4 days or 5 days to recover. Here you have no time to recover, but you're forced to actually push your body to the limits, because everything is on the line to get into the playoff spot, to the semi-finals and the final, and hopefully gain promotion. So I expect that the players are really breaking their bodies as much as they can. They will do anything on the field, and we've seen it. I mean, the slide tackles just to keep the ball in play or prevent a corner, or just push your body to stop the defender, the attacker from going on to score a goal. I mean, we saw the red card yesterday from NWU, bringing the player down the last few minutes, 3-1 up, but he knew that the team getting to the semi-final and having a chance to get promotion is more important than himself. So again, the players are doing everything they can to be in a position to help their team to gain promotion. So again, I don't think it's something you can prepare for, because this opportunity is an absolute another level to get promotion into the first division, and I'm sure that the guys are just going to do anything it takes. So physically, yes, it would be nice for the players to have a break in between the games, but at the same time, I don't know, the coaches are also challenged in this position to be able to prepare the teams in a certain way, make subs at the right time. So it comes to game management, player management, your style of play, when to do what. And we've seen a lot of the keepers wasting time whenever they had the chance to lay on the floor to buy themselves that extra 10 seconds. And again, that all speaks to preparation. I mean, one interesting thing that we discovered in the Champions League is and in Europe a lot, I think it was Aston Villa that started it first, and then we saw it in Africa as well. They take these gels towards the 60th minute, 65th minute in these matches. So they take these performance gels, and it's not illegal, but that helps with things like that. I mean, runners use salt and potassium to avoid these muscle injuries or cramps or things like that. So there's a lot of science behind it as you get up to the higher levels, but hopefully these teams can be educated, these coaches, these players, to understand what their body actually requires. But again, it's an expensive experiment, and we hope that there will be some more investment from the clubs if there is an opportunity, so that when they come to playoffs like that, there's enough recovery. And I spoke to Northwest yesterday. Northwest is actually going into the pool every day after their matches, but is all the teams afforded the same opportunity? Northwest is at home. They've got the facilities to do it. Are all the teams being able to do that? And that, again, you speak to recovery and the advantages of being in your own province, and the advantages of understanding or having the right sort of technical team in terms of having sports scientists involved. And that's what Northwest has, and it's an advantage they have. And look how far they've come, even playing 3 days after each other. They're still in the semi-final, and maybe they would have had a good recovery yesterday in the pool, which maybe the opposition didn't have that opportunity. But sorry, to conclude on your question, it's a tough thing for the players. It does speak a lot to the coaches in terms of their preparation and how to manage their team. But I do think it is tough on the players to push. But again, you look at it, it's 5 days of games, and then you're going through to the first division. So whatever it takes at the end of the day, the coaches and players, I'm sure they're going to put in all of that.
Just for educational purposes, we hear a lot about protein, regeneration, recovery. In simple terms, what does it mean? And generally, how in between games, what would you normally do, and how many days perhaps in between games is sufficient?
it's a difficult one because again, it's in football they talk about specifics to individual players, and there's no general blanket approach to how to recover in terms of a team, because each player has developed differently and loads differently. So I don't think even in science they can't explain exactly how to do it, but a lot of things like getting into the pool, because when runners are forced, especially in the endurance sport, there's lactic acid buildup in the muscles, and that makes the legs heavy, and it obviously doesn't allow the player to perform at optimal level or be able to run at the same level he did in the previous day. But things like massaging, sports massage, things like getting into the pool, obviously rest, which we can't talk about in this tournament because there's not much time. But pool and massage are probably the two best methods to be able to just allow a full blood flow again with the players, and try to sort of help with the lactic acid buildup in their legs or in their bodies.
In terms of performance analysis, what would you say are the key performance indicators pre-match, intra-match, and post-match?
I think with us we do a lot of own team analysis, where we look at our own team's performances and our players, and they look at their performances, and every week they have to come back and sort of reflect on how they performed in the previous game. So again, individual analysis is very important, especially going into games. So knowing how you performed the previous week and sort of setting targets to outperform your previous performance. So things like if you're looking at a winger or fullback, look at their crosses that they're making into the box. If you're a central defender, looking at things like headers won in your previous game. Did you win in all your headers or 100%? Tackles won, did you win all your tackles? How can you improve from week to week or from the previous week? Midfielders, you can look at things like key passes, some moments where it's leading to a shot or leading to a scoring chance. And when you're creating more of these moments personally, and that's why I said in the meeting at SAFA, is that these players need to take the video and reflect on their own performance first, because if you have every player improving their performance by 5% or even 1% every week, your entire team is going to improve by 2 or 3% every week. So in terms of just match preparation, it's looking at your own performance, especially at this level where they don't have access to video and data. Just being able to watch your game simply and be able to reflect on that. Going into the game, obviously it's difficult for the coaches to prepare because they don't really know the opposition that they're playing against. But again, at this tournament, the games are open for the coaches to come and watch. And key details, yesterday there was a goal, I can't remember the team exactly, but where the winger was right-footed playing on the left side. He cut in and he had a shot at goal, and he ended up scoring the third goal, which sort of secured the win. But again, if the defender is aware of that and the coaches make the notes, or the managers, whoever else is in their team, just make those small details. Okay, number 7's coming on. When number 7 is there, he's right-footed, so he's looking to come inside all the time. Those are, we call them small details or details, that if the defender is prepared for, he allows him outside and there's no shot at goal. So I think during the game you can also pick that up in the first 5-10 minutes, especially coming brand new into a game against a team that you may have not played before. In 5-10 minutes, the coach or the assistant coach or goalkeeper coach can do a quick summary of the entire team, the system that they're playing, so what formation are they using, and then in that formation, which players are right-footed, left-footed, because those are also key details. If a striker gets into the box, which foot does he prefer to use when he gets into the 6-yard, into the penalty area? Is it right foot, left foot? What does he want to do? Is he looking to flick? Is he aerially strong? All those types of things. And even if you look at the previous game, there was a centre mid that came on as a centre back, and Spear of the Nation could have tried to maybe expose the guy that's the right-sided centre back, who's actually a midfielder, instead of keep trying to attack the left centre back, who's naturally a left centre back throughout the tournament so far. So moments like that we can look into and try to exploit during the game, before the game, when the opposition is warming up. Make notes of right foot, left foot. This guy is good aerially when he's warming up. All those things can be helped during his preparation going into the game. And then I think post-match, again, it's very simple, and I've said this to a lot of the teams that I chatted to when I was here. Find someone to record your game, even with a cell phone, and share the game to the players. Let them watch it. Because once they've watched their performance, and this is a common argument that we have, is when a coach goes to training on the Monday and he says, John, you were offside 6 times, John can hear you say that, but John needs to also see why he was offside 6 times. What was his movement? Was the defense pushing up, or was he just beyond that last line of defense? Or was his movement made too early, or was his run too straight instead of a curved run? There are so many things you can talk about in a simple situation, just having his offside videos instead of trying to remember as a coach, or even the notes you made, trying to remember what was the particular situations that the player was having during the game. How can we influence the game with video? If a midfielder, and I've seen it a lot, midfielders and defenders look to build up inside the penalty area, and they sometimes have 4 against 1 or 3 against 1, and they still end up kicking along. Again, we can't speak about the tactics of each club here because I'm not on any coaching staff. It's just a neutral view. And they want to play out, you can see, but they're too scared because they don't really see the space that they have to play with. So if the game's recorded on Saturday, Sunday, they can watch the game. Monday they can come with notes, they can talk about, okay, at this point there was 3 against 1. If our 2 central defenders opened up a bit wider, we could have had more space and time to be able to play. And those are the type of situations that can be fixed, and the player can be improved, the team can be improved, and football as a whole in South Africa can continuously grow and improve from week to week.
Dayle, in terms of trends now, you've seen a lot of games. What are the most dominant or common trends in terms of tactical approach, systems that are deployed in these games?
I think the only team that really did something different, and I can easily relate Summerfield because we played, Sundowns played them in the Nedbank Cup. They played with 3 at the back, which was different to every other team using 4 at the back. I think it was an interesting approach. But I don't want to speak too much because I know it because we did our homework against them. But generally, again, in the modern day game, it was 2 6s and 1 8. I think a lot of the teams have changed that approach. They have 1 6 and 2 8s, so they have more attacking options. A lot of wing play, which is nice to see because I think in South Africa, also in the Premier League, I think players are becoming more fearful of 1v1 situations in wide channels. And I think it's been very interesting to see a lot of the goals coming from crosses or balls played wide and then played into the box, like I spoke about earlier, where I said those late runs coming off the shoulder of the defenders. So I think a lot of wing play, a lot of crosses, there's a lot of build-up and patience in terms of play, where we do start to see the end of the game or the last 30 minutes where balls are being played direct into the box, obviously chasing the result. And it's understandable, but from the get-go, most teams have tried to play out from the back. Even the guy Lamasia that just played now, they were playing out from the back. They always had 3 inside their box. They were looking to build up and not just kick along. They had 2 different approaches also, where they had 3 deep, and when they had the opposition push 2 strikers onto the box, they then started to go long, giving them more space and time in the opposition off. So I think also very clever. Northwest also looked to play out, so it's going to be interesting when they play now, because my guess is also a good physical endurance team. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to be able to play out. But again, it's interesting to see that these teams are picking up on world trends of football, and not just Route 1 looking to get in there. It's showing that they're actually coming with their football from their province, and they're still looking to show it off in front of everyone and dominate the game and try and get the best result. But overall, I'm just very happy to see that there's been a lot of good football, a lot of movements to try and find width and deliver crosses into the box. And again, they've created a lot of big chances from the crosses. Not much combination play, which I expected a bit more in the final third. But again, they understand what they're there for, is get the ball wide, get the ball into the box, score the goal. And that's what it's going to take to get to the next level.
In terms, 9 provinces are represented here. When you watch them, are there things that you say, okay, are different because they come from this particular province? These ones approach the game in this particular way because they come from this province because of these reasons that exist or part of the environment of that particular province.
Oh, I think football has come a long way from that, and maybe years ago we'll look at some of the provinces that would have the misconception of their running team or their physical team. Maybe it's a Free State, where we know the Free State Stars many years ago, they could play good football, but they were endurance based and they would never stop. But I think the coaches are bringing like a football element where they're looking to play. Northwest was very interesting yesterday, the first goal they scored against Summerfield. The movement of the wingers and the fullbacks and the strikers to bring the defenders out and look for space behind, very interesting. But to answer your question flat out, I don't think it's a province thing anymore. It's a coach thing, and coaches are looking to change the game and come with something new to just sort of jump onto the innovative things that the world football has grown into. So yeah, I don't think there are specifics, to be honest with you. I just think the coaches are young. There's a lot of young coaches here. They're youthful. You can see they've done a lot of homework in terms of how they want to play, and they brought it onto the field. They're not fearful of any other team here. They came to play, represent themselves as a province, represent themselves as a club, as the coaches, and as the teams.
Last one, Dayle, in terms of now as a performance analyst, because there are many young coaches out there, many young performance analysts wanting to get into the game, and go. In terms of the relationship now between the coaches and the performance analyst, how do you gain that trust? Because you do all this analysis and present it to them. They have the final say what you must go to happen, but how do you gain that trust so that each and every time you bring something, you want them things, they take it serious and implement in the game?
To start, I think the most important thing is the quality of your work. Don't ever sacrifice the quality of your work, whatever you do. Don't speak about things in front of people that you are not sort of very confident about and not sort of prepared for the coach. So I think growing in the industry, I've worked with many coaches in the Premier League over the last few years, and I think the biggest thing that you want to add in is the quality of your work. Once they can see that you've put in effort and you really actually done your homework on what you're presenting to the club, I think the coaches then start to buy into you as a person, because your work is a representation of you. So any shortcuts that you take, I remember there was a guy we had that worked with us many years ago at a company I was working at, and we asked him to do analysis, and he just took a piece of paper and wrote on the piece of paper and brought it in, and that is a reflection of how much effort he's willing to put in. So again, I always say, it's not right, but I always say work hard. Some people say work smart, which is also okay, but just put in the effort, because coaches recognize your effort that you put in, and when you present something to them and they see that you put in effort, it almost creates that buy-in from them that this guy really wants to be part of it. He's doing everything, even if it's an internship. It doesn't matter what situation you're in, but just do good work, because coaches like that. And then in terms of the relationship, I think it's a difficult one, because every coach has a different way of working and what they want. I think do your homework on the coach, also understand what his interests are and where he is at as a coach. I worked with a coach, I was working with the Zambia national team, and a coach from Belgium came to work there, and I never worked with an international coach before. So the understanding at national team level is very different, because you're working with a team of players that have come from all over the world. So some of the players were represented in France or in Austria. So you have to really dig deep and understand these players as a whole when you're coming to him. So when I did my homework and I looked at every single player we had and I presented a database to him, he could already see that the homework was done, and you weren't just coming here to cut videos or to write data reports or anything like that. So again, it goes back to the hard work and the information that you're sharing with him. And once you have that information, again, I think that's a big part of having the relationship with the coach. The coaches in South Africa is very open to analysis, and they're looking for all the help they can get, because any advantage in the league will help them to do a lot better in their job. So if anyone is looking to do it, I think before you even approach coaches, do your homework and your research on football. So when you're speaking to them, you're using the right terminology, and you speaking facts, and you're not just giving your opinion, because everyone knows football is a game of opinions. But the more things you make up on the spot and the more things you create in your mind or on a piece of paper, it takes away the truth and the value of the actual information. There's years of history of football. So going back and be able to speak about football and allowing the coach to understand what you're speaking about very easily, again with using the right terminology, it again builds that relationship, and you guys get a little bit closer. And once you guys are sharing a common vision or common terminology, the conversations are better, and when you're looking at things, you start to understand what the coach is looking at also, and that's the important thing. Don't be an analyst for yourself, be an analyst for the coach, because the coach is the one at the end of the day. It's a reflection of who you are, because he's the one making the selection, he's the one playing the game, he's the one coaching the players, and all you need to understand, your job is there to help. If you're cutting videos, if you're looking for data, if you're looking at players, if you're looking at opposition players, looking at opposition teams, again, everything you do is for the coach, and just be the guy in the background. There's too many, I think today especially, guys like the performance analyst role, but the performance analyst role is a background staff role. It's not the forefront of, I need to be on TV, I need to be on social media, I need to be the face that's seen. Just do your homework in the background and present it to the coach and let him do whatever he needs to do with it, because he has the vision for the team and he's just bringing you along with him.
Sorry, I know I said it was the last.
No, it's fine.
You know, I talk to a lot of grassroots coaches, and we know they are limited in terms of resources.
Yeah.
They do not have the resources to be able to make all these analyses, or to acquire that data to be able to make such decisions. So for a lower league coach, say for example, regional league level, they don't have the resources. What things, just a few things perhaps, just to guide them, what could they look for in terms of trying to do performance analysis and improve the performance of their team?
I think, and I did a workshop a couple of years ago, but one of the very simple things that we take for granted is a pen and a paper. We can simply write your players' names on the piece of paper, and every time they do a specific detail that you're looking for, you just make an X or a tick next to it. So it can be, we don't have to go as far as passes made or tackles made, but simple things like the shots. And we've kept a note of a lot of the shots in this tournament by simply, I got a guy from Northwest helping me, and all he's done is just write down the shot, and the time of the shot, and the player's number, so that we can then go back, where is the shot located on the field, is it outside the box, inside the box, crosses, how many crosses are made during the game, are they made beyond the 18-yard box, or they're made from a deeper position. So literally a pen and a piece of paper, try to get one of your players that are there, or there's always people wanting to help community clubs, so a parent or a player or someone from a school or someone that just helps out, another youth coach maybe. Just give them a pen and a piece of paper, make the notes that you want highlighted for your team. So if it's the amount of shots that you're taking, the amount of, when you look at shots, you can look at shots on target, shots off target. Trying to think what other ones are easy. Like I said, crosses successful, so crosses made into the box and someone having a shot from a cross, or a cross made and it's unsuccessful where someone hasn't been able to get on the end of the cross. And then once you see that, you see, okay, we're taking too many shots outside the box. How do we enter the box a little bit easier? We're taking too many crosses from deeper positions. How do we get closer to the final third to be able to deliver crosses to again create a bigger scoring chance during our games? But again, just to answer your question, whichever coach wants to get involved in or just use simple analysis, just get a pen and a piece of paper, get one of the guys on the bench to be able to just make notes every time something happens. Even if you as a coach are saying, okay, write down shot missed, okay, write down incomplete pass, okay, write down unsuccessful tackle. And as that's written down, you can literally just count each number and you can make a note next to it. You have your totals, go back to your team and say, look guys, we made 10 unsuccessful tackles, this is what we're going to work on for the week. Or we made 7 crosses, only 2 crosses were successful where our striker managed to get on the end of it. Okay, let's work on some crosses. In defending, you can look at how many times they entered our final third. Okay, we're not defending compact enough. We need to work on our structure a little bit better, so our fullbacks come inside, centre backs a little bit closer together so they can't find movements into our box. So there's so many ways you can do it, but it starts with a pen and a piece of paper. That's how analysis was started many years ago, a book and a pen. Someone just started writing down stats, and then from there it grew into what it is today. So again, if that's your first level, your entry level, your second level is use a cell phone. Even record 1-minute clips from time to time, every 2-3 minutes, just to get some sort of information, if you can't record the entire 90 minutes on your phone. And then obviously the third level would be if we can get a camera or a tablet, so a bigger screen, easier to see. I know there is challenges again of access to TVs and laptops and things like that. So there's a lot of technology challenges when it comes to analysis, but again, I always bring it home to a pen and a piece of paper, then take it to a cell phone if it's possible, because probably 90% of people wherever you are have cell phones. And then after that, if we can get into one of those cheap video cameras, which is maybe 1,000, 2,000 rand, and then start to grow your club as a whole in terms of performance analysis. But I'll always say that's the best way to start wherever you are, whether you're a community coach, whether you're a coach at a school level, just an amateur club level. There's so much you can do with a pen and paper, and there's so much you can do with a cell phone. Don't try not to overthink it and see what people are doing in Europe, because they can draw illustrations onto the videos and it looks nice. Supersport is doing it every week and it looks very nice, but that's not what you need at that level. You're dealing with sort of amateur footballers which are still trying to learn about the game, and there's so much these guys can learn, and we're talking about Motsepe level. Imagine you taking it into a community of any area in any province that have absolutely nothing. Start there and then allow them to grow and learn the correct ways to then when they come to the senior level, it's just very easy for them to do at the highest level.
Hey, really appreciate your time, my brother. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Looking forward to the technical report that's going to come out of this exercise. And once again, thank you very much, my brother.
No problem. Thank you.